Hey everybody, this is Josh, aka Inu Joshua from over at Geekscape.net, and I just wanted to post this video to share my new big Amiibo haul that just came in. I just came back from Comic-Con a few days ago, and when I got home I was greeted with this massive mountain of boxes. If you were unaware, this past week we had 3 new Splatoon Amiibo and 6 new Smash Brothers Amiibo, which finally finishes the Smash Brothers series. On top of that, my Pikmin Amiibo came a day early, so I figured why not just go ahead and share that with all of you with this unboxing video. So, starting with the Smash Amiibo, that's where all of this Amiibo craze started. Those were the first series that came out with. It was originally just a Smash Brothers thing, and now of course it's kind of spread to pretty much everything Nintendo does and is taken over our collective lives. So it's crazy to think that after all this time, we're finally done with the series, and not only that, but we're getting third-party characters like Bayonetta and Cloud of all things. So I figured that's a good place to start. I wanted to start off with the Bayonetta Player 2 Amiibo, which I had already opened it in a previous take of this video, and of course things never work out the way you want them to. But I want to go ahead and take her out of the box. I was going to say that she's one of the better designed Amiibo, but in all honesty, the dark days of poorly designed Amiibo have long passed, because a lot of the more recent ones have been really greatly designed. So Bayonetta is a good one to start with. She has her Bayonetta 2 design with the short hair. She has her flowing cape in the background. The articulation on her guns is really great, and then of course she has a backup pair of guns on her heels. So if you guys can get a good look at that, she's actually one of my favorites from the new set. Just something about the design, the way that her outfit is so well put together, and of course she has that kind of badass yet seductive look that we wouldn't normally expect from a Nintendo character, but then again, here we are. Not only was Bayonetta 2 an exclusive Wii U game, but now Bayonetta is exclusively in Smash Brothers in terms of a fighting game appearance. So naturally, when we move on from Bayonetta 2, we can't ignore Bayonetta from Bayonetta 1, which is her Player 2 design and is exclusive to Best Buy. This has her original look with the long hair, the tassels coming out of her hair. She's got red guns instead of blue, and of course they're both on her hands and on her heels. And she kind of has that same flowing look, but in a completely different way. So I know Bayonetta was a big cult classic with a lot of gamers, so I know this was a huge crowd pleaser for a lot of people. And speaking of crowd pleaser, we can't talk about that without talking about the ultimate crowd pleaser, which was Cloud from Final Fantasy VII, of course. Cloud never appeared in a Nintendo game before this, to my knowledge, aside from, I think, Fortune Street, which was a Square Enix Nintendo crossover, but it was like a board game. Other than that, though, Final Fantasy VII has never appeared on a Nintendo console in any degree. However, Final Fantasy VII is the most iconic Final Fantasy game. It's the one that a lot of people started with. So of course Cloud is going to be the one that was going to get the attention when it came to Smash Brothers. And it's hard to argue after seeing how he turned out. I really love the way he plays. I felt they really got creative with him to make him stand out from some of the other sword users. Of course, he's got his trademark Buster sword, his spiked hair, his soldier outfit. And again, I just want to reiterate, it's just so crazy to see an actual Cloud figure produced by Nintendo, one of PlayStation's biggest icons. And yet here he is in Smash Brothers, one of the most fun characters to use in my opinion. And I was just really thrilled. I'm not even the biggest Final Fantasy VII fan, and I was just over the moon excited when they announced him initially. So now that we finally have the Amiibo, it just kind of makes things come from full circle from that initial announcement. So speaking of, his Player 2 model, which is based off of Advent Children, that's GameStop exclusive. He's got his modified sword. I guess spoiler alert for an almost 10-year-old movie and 20-year-old game, but he gave up his Buster sword in between the game and the movie as a tribute to his mentor Zack, since he, I guess, felt like he wasn't worthy to carry it. But he still does a lot of damage with his new weapon, which actually in the movie splits apart into a bunch of different blades, but that's never represented in the game, obviously, because both the Buster Sword and this sword need to function in the same way. So there's that. Okay, so moving on to Corrin. Corrin was a controversial pick, being the last DLC. To my knowledge, he was either the last DLC character or second to last. I don't remember for sure, but Corrin was a controversial pick because a lot of people were kind of annoyed that there was so many Fire Emblem characters involved in Smash already, and one of the last DLC slots went to a character who at the time hadn't even been in a game yet, since Fire Emblem Fates hadn't been released over here in the United States. Nevertheless, I was really happy with Corrin's inclusion once I got to play as him, since he was basically half human, half dragon, so he could transform back and forth to his dragon and his human form using his different attacks. So with his different attacks in play, it did make him stand out even farther from all of the other Fire Emblem characters that were already included. So here you have his sword with the flames coming off of it. It's a really cool design. He, of course, doesn't wear shoes, just like most of the people in Fire Emblem Fates don't. Then, of course, his cape in the back. So I really like his design, but I'm not the biggest fan of male Corrin, which is where female Corrin comes into play. I feel like female Corrin is definitely the better design of the two, which is the opposite of Robin, because I felt like Robin's design, his male design, better suited him compared to the female one. Which I feel like Nintendo somewhat agrees, because that's the design that they picked for Corrin in the upcoming Fire Emblem Warriors game. So let me just untie this, since this is, as far as I can remember, the first amiibo that has an extra tie. It's mostly because of the way she's holding her sword. So she's holding her sword in this position over the back of her head. I think this looks super awesome. If you can see the detail in her sword, you've got her armor and her matching cape, the same as a male Corrin, but just something about her pose, the way she's holding the cape, the way she's holding the sword, even though this doesn't look practical in the slightest if you're in a battle. I just am completely in love with female Corrin's design. I have been since Fates came out, since she first appeared in Smash, and I'm just so excited to be able to have that one in hand. That was the one that I was most worried about not being able to get, since it was an Amazon exclusive and they waited until the day of release to start selling it. But luckily I was able to get it, and as all the other Amiibo collectors probably know out there, the Fire Emblem ones tend to be the ones that are really hard to get. So moving on from Smash Brothers to Splatoon 2, we're going to move on next to the Inkling Girl. Unlike the previous Splatoon pack, there wasn't a triple pack option in the United States, but that wasn't going to stop us from making sure our collection stays complete. And it's not hard to see why we want to keep it that way when you have Splatoon amiibo that look as awesome and dynamic as this one. So we're showing off the dual pistols, which are new weapons in Splatoon 2. You got the ink tank in the back, which was also part of the first game. But one thing I really like about it, aside from the weapons and the outfits and the new character design, is just the way that it's standing. It looks like it's kind of sliding across the ink, which makes it look really cool. If you set it up on one of those dioramas that you can buy, or if you set them up with the other Splatoon amiibo in a certain way, it almost feels like you create a scene that make it look like they're in the middle of a battle or some kind of a turf war. So we'll put her and her dual squelchers down and move on to the Inkling Boy, who has a different color but a similar dynamic pose. He's also kind of sliding across the ink, which I'll be able to show you guys in a second. It looks like he has his splatter shot in hand, so it's definitely an older weapon, so it's not showing off a newer one, unlike the girl one, which I think makes the girl one a little cooler. But we have the boy with a new hairstyle, which is exclusive to the game. The new outfit, he's got his weapon in hand. Like I mentioned, he's kind of sliding across the ink in the same way that the girl was, and creates a really cool, dynamic looking pose. that makes it really easy to set up scenes if you wanted to. And to me, if you set up scenes, that makes it a lot easier to kind of display them too, because one problem, I think I own every amiibo outside of the Japanese exclusive ones at this point, and storage is becoming a real problem, as you can imagine. So if you could find a way to set them up, and when you have to kind of pick and choose which ones you want to put on display, the ones that you can kind of make look cool are the ones that are going to get priority, at least with me. So speaking of, we do have the purple squid, which is the last one of the Splatoon 2 set for now, because I fully expect to get our off the hook amiibo at some point. But this squid kind of follows the trend of the other two and looks a lot more animated and a lot more active than the squid from Splatoon 1. While there's not a whole lot of articulation to show, obviously, since the squid's very cartoony and doesn't have a whole lot of detail involved in its design, you do have kind of its animated face, its trademark look, on top of its launching off the ground, which I think makes it pop and makes it stand out a lot more than it normally would. And it looks like it's in the middle of a super jump, so probably on its way to leap into the middle of a battle where 3 squids are going to be waiting for him to land and completely obliterate him again, which, if you can't figure out, is how a lot of my matches seem to go, because I'm way too eager. But last but not least, we have our Pikmin amiibo, the new one that's going to go with the Hey Pikmin game, which is releasing on the 3DS tomorrow as of this recording. The amiibo is also supposed to come out tomorrow, but for whatever reason, Best Buy has this weird habit lately of just being able to send stuff early. I got my Majora's Mask amiibo last month pretty early. I got the Bayonetta early, which was confusing because my neighbors are keeping track of all the packages coming at Comic-Con. And I was like, what do you mean something came today? It's not supposed to come till Friday. And I thought it was something else, but no, it was the Bayonetta, because Best Buy's been pretty awesome lately with getting the amiibo on time. So here's the Pikmin. If you're a fan of the purple and white Pikmin, you might be a little disappointed because Nintendo seems to be completely neglecting them since Pikmin 3 came out. Not that I'm complaining too much though, because the rock Pikmin and the flying Pikmin are both pretty awesome. Unlike most amiibo where it's just one character facing one direction, the cool thing about this one is you can kind of enjoy it in all directions because you have Pikmin scattered all around it. On the back, you have on the side I should say, you have the rock Pikmin looking right at you. On the back you have this screw, which is an item that they normally would be able to take back to Olimar's ship for a little bit of money. And of course, you see off to the diagonal, you see the blue one hanging from here. And then of course the pink, yellow, and the red one just kind of chilling over here. So this one I feel like is a little bit more unique since it does have so many characters on it rather than just one, which definitely will put it higher up on my list of favorite amiibo. But overall, I'm just really happy to see more Pikmin content because I kind of have a soft spot for that series. But yeah, that's about it. That's 10 new amiibo that have come out in the last week, which is kind of insane. Even more insane that I'm somehow managing to keep up with all of this, but at this point it's way too late. I have an addiction, I can't stop. I lost control of my life, please send help. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what your favorite amiibo from that set were and what other ones you're looking forward to coming out. And I hope to do more of these for you guys. Hope you enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you guys later.